Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So we got a few different things I want to cover in today's episode. We're going to start with a target that I feel like the Ravens should go after, a free agency target that would make a lot of sense that not a ton of people are talking about. And then also we'll talk about Ronnie Stanley taking a pay cut. We'll go over the details of that and what that might mean moving forward, and then just catch up on all the crazy Ravens free agency throughout this week, Morgan Moses trade and whatnot, a couple re-signs. So we'll go into detail all that, and I'll give my thoughts on what I think about it. But let's dive into a free agency target that I feel like the Ravens would be smart to go after. Now, we all know Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Van Noy are free agents, which represented a huge portion of our sacks from the edge last year. We still have Odafe Owe and David Ojabo coming back off injury, but it would make sense to add another guy, right? And most Ravens fans want Jadeveon Clowney back, and I am included in that. But he is visiting with the Carolina Panthers and then has another visit early next week with the Jets. So he's making his rounds. Now, this could definitely be, because he's been known for this could definitely be just him kind of taking visits, seeing what's out there, but also just enjoying being flown around and courted to. And it could also mean he's just searching for the highest value. So if that's the case, he's not coming back to Baltimore. The longer it goes, the more likely I think a reunion could happen. But if he's taking all these visits and some good offers come in, I feel like there's no chance Baltimore's paying a ton to keep him. But that has all led me to think that there may be a better option out there, a younger option, and that is Chase Young. He's still a free agent. He's looking for a one-year prove-it type deal. Does a lot of similar things that Jadeveon Clowney does, but has more upside right now at this point in his career. He's looking for a one-year prove-it deal. He's obviously not going to break the bank, or he would have already gotten a deal. He's still a free agent, and we're multiple days into free agency, or at least since the legal tampering period. So you would think if he's going to, cash in and get a huge contract, that it would have happened already. I think adding a guy like Chase Young to this roster would replace what Jadeveon Clowney did last year with more upside. Now, I would love Jadeveon Clowney, and he'd probably be cheaper. So if that is an option, I'm totally cool with that option too. But I feel like the Chase Young option is interesting. He would fit in here perfectly. I know last year at the trade deadline, there was a bunch of rumors that Chase Young could potentially come to Baltimore. He ended up going to San Francisco, but he hasn't signed anywhere, so he's waiting it out too, and probably doesn't love the offers that he got. I just think it's a smart move. We need to make sure we have, pressure from the edge. Obviously, I'm pretty comfortable with our interior because it's the same as it was last year. We re-signed Matabike. We still got Pierce and Travis Jones, and I feel comfortable about that interior. But the edge with just Odafe Owe and David Ojabo is very unproven, especially with Ojabo. Obviously, he hasn't played. I mean, I love his upside, but he's facing injury after injury right now, which is a rocky start to early in his career. So hopefully he does explode on the scene. Last year during training camp, he had a hype storm around him, and then he didn't really flash in the preseason, and then boom, he's out for the season with an injury. So, we'll see. Hopefully he does blossom, but I'd love to get a proven vet in there. We'll see what happens. It's just an idea. I haven't heard anything that this is going to happen or anything. There's not been any reports. I just feel like it's a smart move. So moving on, Ronnie Stanley takes the pay cut. We've been calling for it, and it happened. Now, it's a temporary pay cut potentially because he could make back all that money and more if he hits all the incentives. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the incentives are, but there are incentives built into that contract. Basically, he's taking lower guaranteed money and can earn back what he was going to make and potentially a little bit more, which I'm sure is Pro Bowl, Super Bowl, playing 15 games, like whatever the incentives they laid out are. he's going to have to hit those to make back that money. He has $10 million potential in incentives, which is pretty crazy, but good motivator for him. And if he's really, really balling out and back to Pro Bowl, All-Pro Ronnie Stanley form, then we benefit from that as well. So I think it's a win-win for the team and Ronnie. Obviously, Ronnie's got a little less money, which is more team-friendly, but he can make it back up if he performs well and stays healthy. And I think that's fair. You know, he hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been consistently playing well. So it's fair to have to earn it. Now, what this move also did is make him a free agent next year. So 2025, Ronnie Stanley is going to be a free agent. This is his last year of the deal now. So that's also an important part because now the Ravens, if he doesn't play well, if he's not hitting these incentives, and isn't playing a lot of games, doesn't look like himself, can just move on. And that breakup would happen next season. So I really think it's the perfect scenario. We keep Ronnie on the roster. We give him something to play for sure. You know, he can earn a lot of money, a lot more money if he plays a lot of games and plays well. So I think it's a really smart move by DaCosta. We freed up $10 million basically in cap room. Shout out to Brian McFarland for breaking these numbers down on X. This is where I'm getting the information from. You can follow him at Ravens Salary Cap. He does a great job dived into the numbers and just kind of reporting what the specifics are of each deal and restructure and whatnot. Let's get caught up on all the other Ravens free agency moves that I haven't talked about at all yet. Morgan Moses obviously traded to the Jets, which just ensures this offensive line rebuild. I mean, right now we don't have a starting left guard, or right tackle. Now, there are backup options on the roster. We have Voorhees, we have Ben Cleveland, we have Falele, Makari. There's other options on the roster still that could potentially fill one of those holes, but I highly doubt that they're just plugging all the backups. So they definitely have a plan to acquire some guys. I don't know if that's through free agency still, through trades, definitely through the draft. I don't think we're going to draft all three starting positions this year in the draft, but we're definitely drafting a lineman, I would say, pretty early in the draft. I don't know if it'll be first round or not, but I would say that we're going to attempt to draft a starting offensive lineman in the draft. I think that's fair to say. It's going to be really difficult to find three starters elsewhere without giving up a lot of draft capital and whatnot. So I think the Morgan Moses trade ensures that. And we basically did a fourth round pick swap in that trade as well. So we moved up in the fourth round to where the Jets are. Smart trade if you're ready to move on from Moses. They clearly are. And they got out of his salary completely because they traded him. And then they also moved up in the fourth round in doing so instead of just releasing him and eating some dead money. So I like the move. I'm ready for this offensive line rebuild. A little nervous to see how it plays out just because there are so many holes right now and the offensive line is so important, but I know they know that. I mean, John Harbaugh and Eric DaCosta talk about how important the offensive line is. They basically talk about it as if it's the most important thing. So the fact that they have that as high of a priority gives me some comfort that they're going to make some smart moves and really stack this line. Tyus Bowser was cut a few days ago. Odell was also released, so wish them well on whatever team that they go to. We re-signed Ardarius Washington, we re-signed Josh Johnson, and we re-signed Brent Urban. Ardarius is an underrated piece to that secondary and was balling last year, so I cannot wait to see him back out there and see what his role is with this team moving forward. Brent Urban, great team guy. He's been around for a while. Huge size on the D-line as well. Nice rotational piece. So happy to have him back. And then Josh Johnson, I think, just ensures that Tyler Huntley is going to sign elsewhere. He's still a free agent, but I think that they're moving on. The fact that they have Malik Cunningham and Josh Johnson. Malik Cunningham was most likely the replacement for Tyler Huntley. So we'll see, though. I mean, they could re-sign Tyler Huntley. I don't want to say that's a guarantee, but just reading between the lines, it seems like they have enough quarterbacks and that Tyler Huntley is not going to be re-signed. I've heard that the Eagles are interested in Huntley and stuff, so I'm sure he's going to find a home elsewhere. And then there's a couple other free agency signings I just want to talk about real fast before I get out of here. Deshaun Elliott signs with the Steelers, so the Steelers are over here just stacking up ex-Ravens, Patrick Queen, Deshaun Elliott. I think Elliott fits their style. I mean, we know he's a hard hitter, bruiser. It's going to be fun to see him versus Derrick Henry. He had a good lick on Henry a few years back, so it'll be cool to see Patrick Queen and Deshaun Elliott trying to deal with the Baltimore Ravens offense. It's going to be so weird going against guys like that. I know Elliott hasn't been here in a little bit. He was with Miami, but it's just weird to see familiar faces on arch rivals. And staying along those lines, Hollywood Brown signed a 1-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs, which I think is a great signing for them. They're going to figure out how to use him well. They're a smart team, very well coached, and I feel like Hollywood's going to thrive this year in Kansas City. But let me know what your thoughts are on getting Chase Young and Ronnie taking a pay cut and how the Ravens are moving forward throughout this free agency. Just drop a comment below, shoot a like on the video. Please subscribe if you haven't. As always, guys, I appreciate you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim there where the sense can't tame the untamed.